Well, yesterday really sucked if you're a liberal, if I'm being honest. And a liberal who knows what's happening, understands what's happening, wasn't a good day for the press. A lot was going on. We find out liberals are caught red-handed withholding information, trying to soften the blow of what is going on with all these job losses, unfortunately. But alas, this is the liberal government that was elected, and apparently Canadians wanted more of, and that was one. And the number two, Mr. Mark Carney doing what he does and what their party does best, and that's virtue signal. We are working with First Nations, and then continues to go on and completely disrespect the Assembly of First Nations. We'll be discussing that, and as well as the EU SAFE program. We've been promised we are entering the European tent and getting closer to the European Union, and guess what that means? Cha-ching! More money from Mark Carney coming out of the country of our beautiful country, Canada. Well, obviously, I can't talk this morning, but we're going to get into all of it. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. If you're getting value from today's episode, take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to grow. It helps us to get to new audiences. And it helps people see there is something different than what the mainstream media has to offer. And now let's get our first story, shall we? So, Stellantis contradicts the government, apparently, says the National Post, says it never requested redactions to contract provided to the MPs. Ooh, wow. You're telling me Mélanie Joly isn't being upfront and honest? Shocking. All right. Auto giant Stellantis says the government, not the company, insisted on redacting copies of a controversial agreement with Ottawa worth hundreds of millions of dollars requested by a Commons committee. A letter sent to the House Government Operations Committee by Stellantis appears to contradict testimony by top Industry Canada officials last week that redactions to the agreement sent to MPs who demanded unredacted copies were requested by the auto giant. In response to the letter, Industry Minister Mélanie Joly told National Post Tuesday that her department would finally release the unredacted agreement to the committee after repeatedly refusing to do so. I received the letter from Stellantis earlier. There's no problem. We'll remove the redactions and send it to committee, Joly said. But the contradicting claims between Stellantis and ISED about who requested the agreement to be redacted against the committee's will raises a new question. Who may have lied to MPs? On that question, Joly demurred. But Conservative and Bloc Québécois committee members said both ISED and Stellantis will have to come explain themselves to parliamentarians, beginning with the company this Thursday. I'm shocked to receive a letter like this from Stellantis. Conservative MP Kelly Block said in an interview, someone's not telling us the truth, and now we have to get to the bottom of it. For Bloc Québécois MP, Stellantis' letter, if true, demonstrates a blatant lack of transparency, a lack of accountability from the government, and since October, members of the Government Operations Committee have argued with Stellantis, the federal government amongst themselves, over a demand to receive unredacted copies of an agreement both between Stellantis and Ottawa. So here's the thing, right? This is the controversial agreement and contract that came out that Mélanie Joly never read, that her team kind of glossed over, what we understand, when this was first agreed upon and came to signing back in 2023 under the now finance minister, François-Philippe Champagne. And so that's not looking good. And so now trying to figure out, okay, we have these contract now. We want to know what the details of the contract were, but now there's a bunch of redactions in it. That there's now a lack of transparency. Clearly, there's information trying to be hidden right now. And now the whole Spider-Man meme is happening. ICD, Stellantis says, you guys did it. And Mélanie Joly's like, no, they did it. Don't worry, we'll unredact it for you guys. We'll unredact it. Wait, so if it was Stellantis what's going on here? Who redacted the information? Mélanie Joly, after repeatedly refusing to do so, is like, don't worry, I'll do the honorable thing. I'll take care of the redactions. We'll remove them and send them to Parliament. Something tells me that this was the Liberal government, because who has the most to lose in this case? Stellantis is just leaving. They're happy to soak the financial brunt of what it means to leave Canada in order for greener pastures for their business down south of the border. But it's the Liberals who got caught on a bogus contract, no jobs guarantees, are getting smoked in the media about it. And now that more people are losing their jobs, it's looking really bad on this current government. Who has the most to lose and to cover this up? Well, we will find out. I think we know the answer to that, but it's, again, more frustrating as we continue to see the political games that are being played. Again, 1,000 people in Sault Ste. Marie lost their jobs at Algoma Steel. 300 people in BC lost their jobs as well. We have thousands of jobs in the auto sector that got torched, Stellantis being one of them. And we have political games being played so that people don't lose their jobs. Interesting. Melanie Joly doesn't want to lose her job as a cabinet member, doesn't want to lose her job as an MP, is fighting tooth and nail to hide information that I think is she's hiding so that she can keep her job. That's funny. I wish she showed that much care and consideration to those who are losing their jobs due to your boss not getting a deal done. I wish he showed that type of care and compassion. But no, you got to save your tail, as this party has consistently done since the get-go. And now here we are yet again. Those who joined us on our live stream last night know that your boy kind of went off on a tangent about Melanie Joly, this whole Stellantis issue, as well as the other jobs that have been lost due to the lack of action from Mark Carney, the lack of action from this Liberal Party. People are hurting. Reg said it last night. People are going to be deciding what they're going to be doing for Christmas this year. Do they have to return presents? Are they going to be able to forward their power? Are they going to be able to afford their Christmas dinner? Those are the real questions that are happening. And we have guys like Mark Carney who just we'll get to it. Who cares, right? He's apologized for it since, but that quite frankly doesn't matter anymore. You spoke what the heart spoke in that moment, and people are suffering, and you said, who cares? Oh, I'm sorry, I should have used, it was a careless use of words. I don't care. Guess what? Who cares about your apology? Because that's where people are suffering now, because you refuse to get a deal done. You refuse to move it forward. You decide to make fun of the press at the Parliamentary Press Gallery dinner about them always asking about Trump, in a joke that landed flat to boot. Alas, here we are. And so funny that you just shows the lack of care. Because again, affordability is the top issue. Affordability is the top issue for Canadians right now. It isn't Trump. It's how they're going to afford their lives. It's not elbows up Trump. It's, all right, what deal are you doing with Trump so that we can afford our lives, is the issue, the top issue people really care about right now. And you're not really doing a whole lot. Housing affordability was debated in the House of Commons yesterday, and Mark Carney left. We saw this. We've probably seen this clip already. Mark Carney going tete-a-tete with Blanchette, a little bit with Poilievre, and then he leaves.
Rules in other areas.
Look at him right here. He's leaving. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See ya.
Leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, you can't build homes if you run out of the House.
That's right.
And that's what the Prime Minister is doing right now.
So obviously a lot of chaos happening here. Conservatives rightfully frustrated that Mark Carney's just leaving. He left halfway through question period and didn't really want to deal with the issues and deal with the questions that were coming to him. Didn't want to debate in the House of Commons, because that's how our democracy works here in Canada. You have to defend your ideas on a consistent basis in the House in front of people on camera. And Mark Carney's refusing to do that here. And rightfully so, got called out. Conservatives were mocking him, leaving. And well, then Poilievre continues to really drill down on the issue of affordability and really make very clear what Mark Carney is not doing, even though he's claiming to build all these homes.
Mr. Speaker, it's very sad the Prime Minister does not want to debate how we get homes for our youth. Our young people deserve homes, jobs, and hope. He was feeling very cocky a few minutes ago until he worried that I might present him with the facts that the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed today that his new housing bureaucracy will build only 5,000 homes per year, which is barely 1% of the 500,000 homes that he promised during the election. Construction is falling off the cliff. Why won't the Prime Minister stand in this House and debate it?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Get ready for this answer. And this was the absolute cream of the crop answer right here, wasn't it?
Mr. Speaker, for the record, the Prime Minister is doing his job, and now he's off to speak with the Assembly of First Nations, doing the job of the Prime Minister of Canada, not standing in this House doing whip.
Look at Tim Hodgson in the back. Weren't you just caught on CBC mocking First Nations just last week? Shut up. For real, like, stop talking. You know, the virtue signaling is just exhausting and disgusting at this point from this Liberal Party. Don't worry, he's got to leave early because he has to go talk to First Nations. He's important. He's got to go talk to the Assembly of First Nations, which is an event that happens every year in Ottawa around this time. So he went to go talk to AFN. And that's what he went and did yesterday. And again, the question obviously came up about the idea of the MOU, the pipelines, or what's going on with this Alberta situation, what's happening with BC. When are you going to bring us in? When are you going to talk to us? When are you going to consult us on these issues? And he gives a 1:20 answer in the most Mark Carney way possible.
That is part of them. And those are speed with which we make those approvals and the coordination with which we make those approvals is something that we can help determine. In other words, if we ask for a bunch of information, do we ask for it by 5 different departments? That's what happens now. And the departments go one after the other, after the other, after the other. And next thing you know, the project, our side of the project approval takes 10 years. That is distinct from the process of free, prior, and informed consent. That is distinct. That's just one part of what's necessary in order for a project to happen. I use this phrase, necessary but not sufficient. It's important. It means something is necessary, but it doesn't decide what actually happens because everything has to be lined up in order for things to move forward. And that goes to the point I made earlier, and I'd like to stress, the question is, what are we for? What do we want to do together? There are certain projects that are First Nations led, which creates obviously tremendous opportunity for things to get done. It doesn't decide it in and of itself. It has to have environmental assessments, other elements. But what do we want to do together and how do we move forward on that?
What can be unburdened by what has been? All right, Kamala Harris, well, we're done listening to you. That was what that answer was a whole lot of, what are you talking about right now? He's half measures Carney, right? Oh, you know, half pregnant. We might do it. We might not. We want to talk to people. This is what we do. This is how it goes. I think the conclusion of what he said here was, we will talk to you at some point. Maybe. I think that's what he was getting at. And again, and this is how Mark Carney and his elitist friends work, is they talk in circles with a bunch of different words, try to make it sound complex and try to overcomplicate it, claiming that you're too simpleton to understand it, so you just won't get it, and they give up on you. That's what he does to us. That's what he's doing to AFN here. And it only kept getting worse because he clearly didn't know where he was. He didn't know what he was doing. And at least until early days of Justin Trudeau, at least he knew how to deal and work in these scenarios. Later days, he was a jerk. But Mark Carney is so out to lunch. We have people asking questions. One of the First Nations chiefs are asking a question here, and he couldn't be bothered to even hear them out, let alone answer them.
Specific structural change will your government commit to, whether it's a distinctions-based fiscal agreement for Mi'kmaq jurisdiction, a rights recognition secretariat with real decision-making authority, or a treaty-grounded revenue share model to ensure Innu nations in Nova Scotia can govern with the full authority of our treaty rights, which are already affirmed.
So there was a question there, and Mark Carney was so busy with whatever he was doing that Mark Carney didn't know to answer. He just kind of sat there for a bit. And eventually, it's offensive at this point, man. Only because I'm not here to try and use the AFN event to dunk on Mark Carney. It's not what I want to do. The issue I have here is the fact that you virtue signal so hard in the House of Commons that, we talk to First Nations. We care about First Nations. Then you show up at AFN and clearly do not care about First Nations. That is what's annoying. That is what frustrates me about this. And again, I was very cautious because I didn't want to use this event as a way to dunk on this guy, but it shows the utter lack of care that he has. He again spoke all week about how First Nations. Then we have questions about, hey, are we going to be cutting deals? How are we going to work? How can we have more say over our jurisdictions here in Nova Scotia? She talking to me? What are we doing here, man? And then to end off, guess what? Do you know how this ended off? Oh, Mark Carney leaving early. What did he have to go to this time?
This shows the importance to our Prime Minister. Chief Jacko.
There we go.
And again, I think this highlights the need maybe for a longer presence next time. Chief Jacko, please. Chief Jacko, please. We understand. Again, I believe.
What was the really important event he has to go to now? You left House of Commons early to go to the Assembly of First Nations, which your party made sure to virtue signal really hard in the QP to say that's really important. So important that you left early. So important that, well, the Assembly here was offended that you left early and let you know about it. What did you have to go to now, Mr. Mark Carney? If this was going to be your crown jewel, if this is what you're going to virtue signal on, I would expect you to spend an ample amount of time sitting and listening. But you left early, and they felt it. I wish we could have spent more time with you. And then individual in the crowd's like, you have your time to talk and now you're leaving? What are we doing here? And he had to be quieted by the crowd. But the frustration's real, and I get it. How are you going to sit here and say, we talk to First Nations, if you're not going to spend the time to actually do it in a constructive manner? You come for the photo op, you come to do your thing, and you bounce. Say you actually do care. It's tough. It's a tough look. But alas, last story. It was announced yesterday that we will be joining EU Safe, which is the program that the EU offers that allows countries to bid on defense contracts in the EU. This was the announcement, and David McGuinty got questioned very hard on this, and this was interesting.
Canada signed a new security and defence partnership with the European Union. Today, the Prime Minister has announced the conclusion of negotiations for Canada's participation in SAFE. Canada is the only country outside of the European Union to be asked to join the European Union. So it's a very unique opportunity for us. We're here to take your questions.
Ask you, the other non-European country that's been negotiating to join SAFE is the UK. And negotiations have broken down because of the entrance fee. Reportedly, in the case of the UK, $6 billion to join SAFE. What is the amount you expect we're going to be paying to join SAFE?
I'm not aware of the UK situation. And as you know, I learned a long time ago as a former negotiator, never comment on negotiations when you're not at the table.
Sorry, but Minister, there is a fee that will be part of joining SAFE.
We'll have more to say about that in due course.
We've all been called here today because the negotiations on SAFE have been concluded. Why can't you tell us how much Canada is going to have to pay?
Because the fine print in terms of the third and final element of the negotiations continue. We've been allowed to step inside a tent, the European Union tent. The details in terms of costs, percentages are being ironed out. They will be ironed out. But the really good news is we're in the tent.
We're in the tent. Don't worry about it, folks. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg, but we're in the tent now. These are some very good questions from the reporters here, where they said, how much is it going to cost us? Well, we can't comment on negotiations while they're still happening. You just said negotiations are concluded. It's done. We're in. How much are we paying? We can't really comment on that because, well, the fine print, shut up. There is no fine print here. Give us a break. Do you think we're stupid? The issue is you think we do. We are. But we want to know how much is it because the UK negotiations faltered, collapsed on the EU Safe program because of how much that administration fee was, how much the entry fee was. And you know how much that was? $6.75 billion, billion euros. The equivalent of $11 billion Canadian. Just to get in. Just to be able to play. And this is the only reason we are doing the security deal, let's get honest for 2 seconds, is Mark Carney wants to expand his horizons to do more deals through Brookfield and and his partners and his friends. And so more money can leave Canada into the EU and get tied up in whatever defense contracts are over there. He doesn't care what the entry fee is. They don't care. We just got to be in it because I need to make money. So yeah, we will be on pins and needles. Can't wait to find out how much that entry fee is, folks. But don't worry, we're a part of the tent. Good night. But anyways, enjoy your Wednesday. I'll see you this afternoon. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.